All right. We are at day 9. Can you believe it? We have one more day. And tomorrow we are going to do a coaching class live on Zoom. So are you coming? Please let me know if you're coming. I really hope that you're able to make it. I think this is where you can take a lot of things that you've learned during our time and that we can meet that place in you that we need to work with, right? We can celebrate. We can we're going to talk about what are the things that you've learned, and we're going to meet those places that need to be held in order for you to have the life that you want to have. So today, this is where it gets pretty meaty. This is not that it hasn't all been meaty, but what we're doing now is we're like, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we're like meeting. We're going to talk about identity and who you have to become in order to stand in your goodness. Ah, so we've been talking about capacity. We've been talking about money holding, pleasure, the aliveness, love. But today, ah, this identity, like the person that we are, the person that we've become, and none of that is bad. It's just that it gets to a point where the life that we're wanting to lead, the identity that we are, we can't be that person anymore in order to bring in what it is that we're wanting. So if you've had your identity built on struggle, not consciously, not intentionally, but somewhere along the way, you learn that you can't handle anything more, right? You learn that value comes from overcoming or from being the one who pushes through, who figures it out, right? Who doesn't need help, who can handle anything. And that identity works, as I said, until it doesn't. So, because when life gets easy, when money flows and love is stable and your body feels good, when there are things working, sometimes we don't recognize ourselves anymore. I'm like, who am I? Wow, like what does this mean? Who am I if I'm not fighting? Who am I if I'm not proving myself? And who am I if I'm not the one that has to be the strong one or whatever, fill in the blank, right? And rather than sit in that disorientation, we want to we sometimes unconsciously create a problem to solve because that's what feels familiar. We've been talking about this a lot. We've been talking about the nervous system desire for familiarity and our mind and our beliefs on how some things may be scary. And so let's look at some of the responses that you've had in this challenge. One of you wrote in our thread, I need a new perspective on life, new purpose. I've been searching since my husband passed. I have always been a caregiver. I no longer have that job. Do you see what's happening here? The identity was built on caregiving. And when that role was gone, there's like that sense of, well, who am I anymore? And that's not uncommon. That is literally the work. So if you're a mother and now you're empty nesting, who am I? Another person wrote, I've committed to no longer shrinking. And since every moment is a new experience, I'm affirming my bigness. Yes, yes, I love it. Can you feel that? Can you feel that? Like the stepping in, I'm affirming it. I'm stepping into this new identity. That's the identity from someone who shrinks to someone who takes up space. Another said they joined the challenge because they're available for my best life timeline. And that's the readiness. That's choosing to become the version of yourself who can hold more life. So here's what I want you to understand. Your upper limit isn't just about capacity. It's about us finding where our identity is keeping us from that. So if you are, I'm the one who works harder than anyone else. So when things get easy, when money comes in without the grind, when success happens without the struggle, there's that feeling of like, I'm doing it wrong. Like it doesn't count. Like you didn't earn it the right way. Or you may be the responsible one. So letting yourself rest, like who are you if you're not being responsible? Who are you if you allow other people to support you? Is it meaning that you aren't like it questions your identity? That's actually good. We want that. Or maybe you earned everything through struggle. Or maybe you're the one who's strong and you don't need much. Or your value comes from what I overcome. So what I've noticed in different parts of my identity, I mean, I feel like I can meet this over and over, over and over again. And this is the thing with identity. Many of us, myself included, have spent so much time working on our wound, right? Working on, oh, I'm this way because this happened to me in my life. Do this when this, because I don't have boundaries. So we're over here working on the wounding, on the challenge. I'm not saying that's not a bad idea, that that's a bad idea. However, when we're constantly looking at the wound and we're not looking at what we are becoming and who we have to be, my prayer has been over and over again recently, God, help me to be who you want me to be. What parts of me do I need to retire? What parts of me do I need to let go of? And every time I meet that, instead of going into, oh, and sometimes it's the victim, like, oh, I can't let myself be in victim mode anymore. Or I can't be the identity that, I mean, my identity has just been go with the flow, whatever you want, I want. I mean, my identity has been, I'm just the easy one, don't really have many needs. I've been letting that go. And there's been some edges, like, oh, like the fear, will I still be loved? Am am I only loved because I go with the flow? Like certain things are super powerful. And even in my work and money, like who am I? This is when I was talking about this on the money on day 6, where we talked about money. How about I'm the one? I'm the one that everyone comes to because I have tons of money. How about me just being, I'd love to experience myself in this lifetime as as the identity of someone who has more than she knows what to do with. Not from like a greedy place, but from like, who would I be? Like, how would I interact with life? How could I show up in service with when if I'm not struggling or if I'm not in challenge, if I'm a different identity with my work, my service, and how money shows up for me. So if you've spent years becoming the person who survives, and now you have to become the person who thrives, and those are not the same, just like I was talking about. The person who survives in vigilance, armored, ready for the rest, is very different from the person who thrives in openness, trusting, available for good. And this is the thing about going into the identity that most people don't really talk about. There's actually a grieving period. There's grief in outgrowing an identity that you kept alive. There's grief and there's actually fear. There's concern. There's things that we have to meet. Even when it's the right thing to do, even when you're ready, even when you want it, because that version of you, the one who survived or whatever that story was, it deserves to be honored. That version has got you here. It's the one who protected you, kept you safe, did what you needed to be done. And now you're here because you're becoming someone different. It's not better, although it actually does feel better, right? It really does feel better. It's different. It's someone who receives easily, who rests deeply, who holds abundance without apology. And that there's grief in that transition. So I don't want you to rush through that. And the important thing about coming into that identity is shame can come up. Wow, I can't believe I have, something in my life where I'm like, I can't believe I spent so like my food issues, so many different things, so many different ways I've been in a relationship, certain patterns I've had with my husband. And wow, I can't believe I did that for so long. And there'll be that wave of shame. I'm like, it just doesn't help. The guilt, the shame, it just doesn't help us to move. It keeps us in that limbo. Like shame stops everything. And so we have to jump over, we have to not jump over, that's not the point. We have to be with the shame, and then we have to just decide to step in. We have to decide to grieve. So let me ask you, who do you have to become to have the life that you want? Not as aspiration, not as someday, but the embodied reality. If you let yourself have everything you want, the money, the love, the ease, the aliveness, the pleasure, the rest, who would you have to be? If you allow yourself permission to be what God wants, your God-given blueprint for being here, if you let yourself, what would that version have to believe? How would you move through the world? What would you no longer tolerate? What would you allow yourself to want? And here's the harder question. What part of your current identity would have to let go of, you would have to let go of to become that person? So I want you to sit with this. I really want you to sit with this. And when you come up against these things, really pause. Sometimes I mean literally stop in your tracks. I've done that many times. I'm like, oh, right here. Right here. Here's the potency. Here, right here in this moment. Ah, it's excruciating. And I'll move and I'll pray into it, or I'll sing into it, right? So here's what I want you to hear today. You don't have to stay who you were to honor where you've been. It's important. You're allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that had to fight for everything, or whatever your story is. And you are allowed to become someone who receives easily. You're allowed to become the person that you were meant to be without apology. Wow. Are you sick of being like apologetic for living your life well? That's our God-given right. We are here because we are blessed. We are blessed. Go back to gratitude and celebration on day 3. Go back into that. Celebrate. Celebrate opens the door. Gratitude grounds it. Do it. Do it. Get into that space, because in that space is where you open up this place of identity. Okay, so here's your practice. If I let myself have everything I want, I would have to become the kind of person who. If I let myself have everything I want, I would have to become the kind of person who. That is your question. That is your prompt. I want you to think about it. And if you know that that part of you needs support, you reach out to me. If you know that in order to step into that new version of yourself, I mean, I don't know how anyone does that without support. I mean, there's certain things I've stepped into, but I just don't know how people, I think in some way, I think in some way it's choice, right? Like there becomes an edge where this is who I can become on my own. And then this is who I can become when I choose to have someone supporting me, when I choose to have one seeing me, calling me out, being with me. That is what I do. And that's what I can help you with. So if you're desiring that, reach out to me, come to Maui, do one of my amazing Maui healing retreats, or do one-on-one coaching with me. This is powerful, potent work. And you deserve it, because who you are serves the greater good. Who you are serves your family, serves your life, serves everyone that's in front of you. I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. So glad you have shown up for yourself. Okay. I'm hoping I see you tomorrow live on Zoom. Come. Let's do this together. All right. Love you. Bye.